Ready? Good. Okay, good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to the September 28th, 2023 Board of Public Works and Safety meeting. Roll call, please.
Mr. Long.
Here.
Ms. Greenwell.
Here.
Mr. Kleiner.
Here.
Are there any conflict of interest statements?
No.
No. Approval of the minutes of the meeting of September 21st, 2023.
I make a motion to approve those minutes.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Moving on to number 5, bid opening quotes for closure of alley west of 4900 block of Columbia. You have those?
You just handed them to you.
Oh, these, okay.
Yes, sir. This is quotes. We were petitioned by the Councilman Torres to assist with the closure of the alley that runs east and west along just north of 150th behind La Hacienda Azteca. And we have temporarily closed that alley at the business owner and the councilman's request. This sort of takes that to a completed project at the initiative of the councilman, and so we're asking that you open the quotes and then hopefully refer those to the consultant for review and recommendation.
Am I looking for the bid proposal, bid bond, and all the same stuff?
Nope, this
Okay,
is just
the
quotes.
quote.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're just
gotcha.
going to open the envelope and read the number, the quote number out loud
Okay,
for each bidder.
gotcha. The first one is from Security Door from Portage, Indiana. And their quote is $3,878. $3,878. And again, that's Security Door from Portage, Indiana. The second one is from J.J. Newell, Concrete Contractors Incorporated from Crete, Illinois. And their bid is $16,278. Again, that's $16,278 from J.J. Newell. And then last but not least, Concrete from Chicago Heights. And their bid is $17,965. $17,965.
So if you could review that to our consultant for review and recommendation. Thank you.
Motion to forward this to engineering's consultant for review and recommendation.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, moving on to number 6, matters from other department heads or their representatives. Mr. Button.
Just a brief update. Soul Avenue's been reopened. Soul Avenue was closed until late yesterday, and now it's reopened to traffic.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anything else from other department heads or their representatives?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, Mr. Kearney has this to present to the board. This is what it is, 5213 Hammond.
Okay.
By the way, nice lighting. You guys
Yeah,
look good under that
yeah,
light.
yeah.
The 5213 Hammond basic business. As you know, it's under a valid and continuing demolition order from November 2021.
Right.
Since that time, we've also issued one emergency declaration under 36799 that allowed Mr. Button to go in and determine the danger to the foundation of the building due to the vaulted sidewalk and the work that was being done. That has been completed, correct, Mr. Button? That was completed. The identification of the emergency, yes. All right, so the contractor is ready to proceed with the demolition. However, due to the asbestos that is in the building, IDEM is requiring an inspector to be on site. Or I'm sorry, IDEM is requiring an inspector to be on site, an asbestos inspector to be on site. And so Mr. Kearney, in an abundance of caution, to allow that inspector to be on site, has declared another emergency regarding the asbestos specifically. under 36799, and he has a letter in that regard that I'd like the board to be aware of, and that will begin the asbestos part of the demolition, which will be under the emergency provision of the Unsafe Building Act, and then the regular demolition will proceed after that, correct? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
The situation is such that the building is unsafe to work in, so they cannot remove the asbestos that is known to be present, and they haven't been able to inspect the second floor fully because it's unsafe to occupy, unsafe to work in. So in order to have the inspector on full site, IDEM is requiring from the JM, the contractors is saying that IDEM is requiring an emergency declaration of this environmental situation so they can have that inspector on site full-time.
So no action by the board is required, just I want to make sure you accept, you acknowledge the notice of the emergency and
Gotcha.
Kelly's letter.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Okay, anything else from department heads or their representatives before we move on? Okay, number 7, correspondence. Letter A, correspondence received from Councilman Mark Kalwinski requesting to hold the first annual Pulaski Park Promenade Walk Run Bike event on October 7th, 2023, starting at 2 p.m. and requesting EMA service for street closures at the attached noted intersections. And Councilman, the only thing could you come up here for 1 second maybe? The only thing we talked about, I talked to Donnie this morning about the EMA services. There's 2 other events going on that same day. So he's going to be stretched a little thin, so it's probably going to be the police department that helps with that. But we'll make it happen. I just wanted to let you know it probably won't be EMA.
All right.
So,
And it shouldn't be lengthy. We're not expecting a huge crowd. It's the first ever. So hopefully we won't inconvenience the HPD too much.
okay.
All right.
Okay, then we'll take care of it then.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Police Department, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Motion to approve Councilman Kalwinski's request and to forward to the police department for follow-up.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Letter B, correspondence received from Dean Button requesting 90-day trial period for stop signs at the intersection of Chesapeake and Chestnut due to limited sight distance.
At the request of Councilman Werpel, who is also here today, I looked at Chestnut northbound intersection with Chesapeake, and there's a very difficult sight impediment at that intersection, and I know Councilman's been working with the Parks Department to sort of remove some trees. The long-term goal is perhaps to realign northbound Chestnut so that it's not such a severe angle at that location. Being that that condition is a concern of mine, I'm requesting that we stop control Chesapeake at that intersection for the 90-day period to give us time to get a better handle on the situation. This was an issue that came up also last night at Mayor's Night Out, so it's very timely that the board take a look at this as an action, and I recommend your approval.
So, the only thing I would say, it sounds like what we're doing is operating under the Board of Public Works' trial period portion, not the ordinance that allows the board to put it permanently in. So what I'd request that if Mr. Button is going to do a 90-day trial period at the stop sign there, that we set this for status in 90 days and then determine whether or not it's going to be made permanent. And at that time, if it is, we'll give notice to the council like we're required to do under the ordinance.
Okay. I'm aware of that intersection. I know the street kind of goes back at an angle, so it's really hard to see. So I know what you're talking about.
Thank you.
Okay. Right.
Councilman?
You want to say something, Councilman?
Just for clarification, it's not just one stop sign on, going north. That would be 2 stop signs, and I've never, so where T's there, I'd ask for 1 on each side of the street.
That
Gotcha.
says the intersection.
Okay.
And it just, for those that don't know, you have to literally look out your backseat window to try to see if anybody's coming when you get through that intersection.
Right. Okay.
Motion to set this matter for status for December 28th, 2023,
And approve the 90-day.
and
yeah.
approve the 90-day trial period.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Button.
right.
That's okay. Okay, moving on, matters from board members, either of you?
Nope.
Number 9, new business. Letter A, resolution authorizing the city of Hammond to declare an emergency and enter into agreements to purchase 2 ambulances submitted for approval.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anyone from Fire's here this morning. Okay, as the board can see, you may recall when Engine 7 got nailed on 8094.
Damaged, yeah.
We needed to get a new fire engine. So unfortunately, because of, and it really as a direct result, as you can see in the resolution, as a direct result of Franciscan's decision to close our only hospital in the city, and as a direct result of their failure to really uphold their mission, the city fire department now has to travel significant amount of miles to take people that are in emergent need of medical services to hospitals beyond our borders. We're all aware of that. It's bad, it's terrible, it's beyond maddening for the administration and for everybody that lives in the city. So as a result of that, the ambulances have become, they're in need of maintenance more often. They've become closer to their end of regular, useful life, right? Because they're not just going down the street to Ogden and Homan or Clinton and Homan, they're going to Munster, they're going to Chicago. And so 2 of the ambulances have actually become pretty close to what we'd usually consider retirement age. The fire department has indicated to me that ambulances, like a lot of new cars, are under very short supply. They were able to locate 2 ambulances that they were informed by the, I think it's a company out of Indiana, I forget the name of the company, it's in the resolution. Is it in there? No, it's not fire service. So anyway, it's in the resolution that 2 ambulances are immediately available, but they kind of have to jump on it. And there's nothing to say when other 2 ambulances would be made available. So it is, I'm requesting the board to declare an emergency under the code that I've cited in the resolution, similar to what we did for Engine 7, because of the fact of the supply of ambulances and the need of the fire department, given the fact that some of the ambulances are getting to that point, that if we wait another year and a half, we can't afford an ambulance breaking down. Okay. So I'd request the board to approve the resolution as presented. It is a situation that's been thrust upon us by Franciscan, and I'm hoping, and the Controller's Office has indicated that they do have the funds available. I believe they're purchasing one, and they're also using the state revolving loan fund, which is made available to cities at a low interest rate on the other one. So.
Yeah, the name of that company is Crossroads Ambulance Sales and Service out of Middlebury, Indiana.
That's
So,
it.
Yep.
Make a motion that we approve the resolution as submitted.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Letter B, resolution and intergovernmental agreement with Hammond Redevelopment Commission to transfer a portion of property located at 5945 Kennedy Avenue, submitted for approval.
Yes, this is a request by the Redevelopment Commission for certain property that they need for work they're trying to accomplish over at, it's a sliver near the gun range for Creviston Trucking that needs to expand their operation, and this is a sliver that is owned by the city, and Redevelopment's requesting it so that they can perform their development agreement with Creviston for their expansion.
Okay.
So I'd request, it should be signed by Redevelopment. If it's not, it's coming.
It's
Not yet, okay.
It's not yet, no.
So if we could have that, I know the usual practice is to have it signed first. However, in this instance, it was a timing issue. They just had their meeting, so I'm hoping that, I know that they need this property, so I'm asking the board to sign it as presented.
Okay.
Motion to approve the resolution and intergovernmental agreement as submitted for signing.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Letter C, agreement to purchase real estate located at 5626 Walter, submitted for approval.
This is another property that is in Jacob Square that's going to be transferred to redevelopment. I'd request that that's going to be transferred to a private owner due to it being an abutting landowner. I'd request its approval as presented.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the 5626 Walter agreement as submitted.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Letter D, order to rescind order to demolish property located at 6145 Ray Street, submitted for approval.
Mr. Luter advised the law department that this property has been rehabilitated. There are some really good photos. I wish I had them with me, but it's another success story, and kudos to the inspections and building department for getting this one rehabbed.
Motion to rescind the order for demolition at 6145 Ray.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Letter E, agreement to rehabilitate property located at 6530 Carolina Avenue, submitted for approval.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Luter has advised me that the folks rehabbing this property need a little more time. I don't know if Mr. Luter has another update. Is that just accurate? Just needs some more time? And we'd request that to be approved and also set a status for near the expiration date, which should be at the top of the document.
December 8th, so before December 8th?
Right around that time, yep,
Okay.
sure.
December, we can do November 30th or December 7th.
Let's go the 7th.
Okay.
Motion to approve the agreement to rehabilitate 6530 Carolina and set for status for December 12th, 2023.
7th.
Did I say, what did I say?
Yeah,
December 7th. Is that right?
Yeah, you said December. Okay, you ready? You good now?
I'm second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, letter F, funding allocation request form received requesting $7,682.22 of the First District Gaming Fund to be allocated for the 6 LED stop signs. All good? Anybody seeing a problem with this?
Any questions about that? That's in my district.
Yeah, it's been signed by the controller and the mayor.
One of the intersections, a bicyclist was struck by a driver who went through the stop sign. And the trail's right there by that intersection, so I thought we better make it more visible. I don't think that's entirely the issue, but it's behind Walmart at the state line. And then the other one behind Walmart where Amazo's entry is, that's where the others two will go. And then I'm going to put the last two at Hammond and 142nd, where I just put up a stop sign a month ago to make it more visible, because that's a treacherous area with the schools crossing right there. So those are the three intersections those will be going in. I believe it's been approved. The controller signed off, the mayor signed off, I signed off, and I have the funds.
It has. All three signatures are on here, so thank you, Councilman.
Motion to approve the funding allocation request as submitted.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Moving on to letter G, right-of-way permits. Looks like there's 8 of them received from engineering, submitted for approval.
Good morning.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Good, good. So this is ongoing infrastructure improvement for NIPSCO. This is for early next year, 24 January. So there's 8 of them. They're going to replace the poles, the equipment on top, just upgrade the system for better reliability. So I recommend approval.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I make a motion that we approve the right-of-way permits as submitted.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Letter H, C-Click Fix request to add no semi-truck fine signs at both ends of the 6800 block of Northcott.
As you're aware, the city has implemented a new no truck sign deployment. There is a no truck sign, the old truck with a line through it, at the north end of the 6800 block of Northcott, right, 67th and Northcott. So that one certainly could be either replaced or modified in some way to include the new stop sign. As you know, 169th is not a truck route, and so it doesn't make a lot of sense to put one on the south end, because they would have seen a sign prior to that point. So I would recommend one sign be altered at the north end of Northcott at 167th.
Okay. Got that?
Not really. Motion to add the one sign at the north, what'd you say, Dean?
North end of Northcott.
The north end of Northcott
167th.
at 167.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Letter I, disposal authorizations received from the Hammond Police Department, submitted for approval.
Motion to approve those disposal authorizations as submitted.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Letter J, garage sale permit, submitted for approval. 60
Motion to approve the garage sale permits as submitted.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This letter, okay. Letter K, auto renewal of United Healthcare Cobra coverage.
This is their annual renewal. I believe it's been recommended by the Controller's Office to auto-renew. This is the city's healthcare coverage, or part of it, the Cobra part.
Okay. Do we need to approve it, Kev, or just, okay, or just acknowledge it?
It's an auto-renewal. If you could just acknowledge it, that'd be great.
Okay. Okay, number 10, old business, status for 1463 Indianapolis Boulevard.
Mr. Luter's here, 1463 Indianapolis. It's a commercial structure on the boulevard. He has completed his inspection. This is one that we just entered the demolition order in March.
Right.
And it is going to be under a rehab agreement soon enough. Mr. Luter just owes me his notes. So if we could, Bill, do you want this for like a 30 or 60 day, or do you want to have it to like a couple weeks so we can get the inspection?
Well, we'll just pendant the rehab agreement. I'll get the report to you and then.
Okay, so if we could just have a status for this for 90 days, for that December date?
December 28th?
Sure.
Okay.
And then but the rehab agreement will be before you within the next couple weeks, so.
Gotcha.
We just setting the status.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion to set 1463 Indy for status for December 28th of 2023.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Letter B, status for 5554 Walter.
Yes, I believe I thought I saw Ms. Patello come in. Yeah, she's here. So we'll have her come up. I believe Mr. Luter has informed me that there has been some work, and the work is continuing on the property. Last time we were here was on the 7th of September, and Mr. Luter had spoke with the contractor, but needed to inspect. So, Bill, do you want to give any update? No. Okay.
So as far as the interior work on the property that was contracted previously, that is done. I've seen the receipts from the inspections that were done by plumbers, electricians, and HVAC. The only thing left, and Ms. Botello can speak on this, is getting the contractor to return and provide code-compliant rear stairs to the property. So right now, the stairs, there's really nothing salvageable, and they don't meet current code.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Could you give us your name one more time?
Irene.
Thank you.
Costello. So they just, I'm just waiting to give them the deposit to start, so.
Have they gave you any indication how long it's going to take?
Well, as soon as I give them the deposit, usually within a week or so.
You know how long it'll take them to finish?
To finish? I'm not sure. It's just a little step, so I'm sure like within 2-3 days.
Bill, after the steps, when is it done? Have they had finals yet on it?
Yeah, less than 30.
I'd say 30 days.
30 days?
Yeah.
Want to go to November 2nd? Is that okay?
Fine with me.
Everybody?
Is it okay with you?
That's fine.
Okay.
Motion to set 5554 Walter for status for November 2nd of 2023.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank
Thank you, ma'am.
you.
Letter C, status for 228 Condit Street.
This is another project that's under rehab. Mr. Luter's informed me that they need another 60 days. Is that right, Mr. Luter?
That's probably more than enough time for what they have left to do.
All right, and I don't know if this is this under a rehab agreement? They want one. They had one, but it expired
It may have expired, but at this point, I don't know if it's worth putting another one in.
because it's that close to being
They
done.
literally have to put covers on things. when I was
Okay.
there yesterday.
So how much time do you need for that?
I would say give them 60 in case, but if something comes up sooner than that, we'll rescind the order.
Okay.
Is
so-
November 30th okay?
Yes, sir.
And it's a status hearing, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Motion to set 228 Condit for status for November 30th, 2023.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Letter D, status 90-day temporary stop signs at Vine in Arizona.
I was hopeful that I would be able to report that we'd be done with this as a result of the Kennedy Avenue project, and I'm sad to say that we've had more delays relative to some NIPSCO service point relocations that are now being required. And so I'd ask that we extend this another 90 days. I'm very hopeful that the project will be complete and open before the end of the construction season, but in the meantime, we need that stop sign at that location.
You want to do December 28th?
Yes, please.
December 28th, okay.
Yes.
Motion to approve the 90-day stop signs at Vine in Arizona for another 90 days, December 28th, 2023.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 11, rental registration hearings, I don't see any. And then, so number 12, business exception hearing for letter A, Gas Depot Oil Company at 3350 Calumet Avenue.
Good morning to the board again. I'll be representing the city in this matter. I don't know if someone from Gas Depot Oil Company is here. I believe it's
Morning.
George, and I know I'm going to mess that name up. I apologize.
Pronounced Neti Kalaya.
Easy, Neti Kalaya. All right, we got it. So Mr. Neti Kalaya is here as well.
Actually, one correction, he's on a family emergency.
Okay,
He's not here.
come on up, introduce yourself. Who are you?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Nick Tanglis, and I'm here to represent Gas Depot Oil Company.
Okay, are you an attorney or are you
I am not.
Okay.
I'm just an employee.
employee of the company?
Yes.
All right, so let me just set the record if I could. Gas Depot Oil Company sent a letter dated August 30th, 2023 to the city, actually to the mayor. It ended up at the law department, which is where it should be. And they've requested an exception to under ordinance 9605 passed by the city council, signed by the mayor, specifically subsection F, which allows a fueling station within the city to request an exception to the midnight to 5 closure, which of course that ordinance, that law will take effect November 1st. So the fact that they're coming beforehand, that was kind of the idea of having it take effect November 1st to allow fueling stations that wanted that exception to be heard before the board. The ordinance sets forth a procedure, which is what we're here about today, whereby the petitioner, which is the gas station at 3350 Calumet Avenue, can present evidence to the board as to why it believes it should stay open. The board, of course, is aware that there are 9 factors listed within the ordinance that it should take it within consideration. It would be my belief that the petitioner, the station, would be the one that has the burden of proof and should present evidence to the board. And then we'll, of course, be happy to. I've got some witnesses and some documentation to present to the board as well on behalf of the city.
Okay, so before we get started, first of all, I just want to say good morning. The next matter before the board is a request for an exemption to Section F of Ordinance 9605 brought by petitioner Gas Depot Oil Company. The petitioner has requested that the fueling station located at 3350 Calumet Avenue be excluded from the requirement within the city of Hammond that fueling stations be closed from midnight to 5 a.m. I would like to first determine whether or not proper notice has been given to the neighboring property owners by the petitioner. The requirement is that petitioner give notice of today's hearing to all properties located within 300 feet of the petitioner's property line. And Linda, have you gotten that? Okay. If anyone is present besides the petitioner to speak for or against the petitioner's request for an exemption, can you please make yourself known? Councilman Kowinski? Okay, Councilman, could you stand up then, please? Just want to make, there are only 2 people that are going to be speaking today, is that correct? Okay, thank you, Councilman. Okay, you'll be allowed to speak at the appropriate time. As a petitioner, you have the ability to now present to the board your rationale as to why you believe your fueling station should be allowed the exemption. As you know, there are several factors in the ordinance that the board will consider and weigh in making their determination, and I would ask you to be aware of those factors and to present your argument and evidence today with those factors in mind. Do you have any evidence, not testimony, documents or otherwise, that you would like to give the board before you get into your testimony?
We do not have any evidence, only opinion and the observations both of council and everyone who has inspected the subject property.
Okay.
If evidence is requested, I'm sorry, I wasn't aware of it, such as photographs or video or anything like that, we'll be more than happy to provide it.
Okay. Let's see. Do you have any, we already talked, you have one, is Councilman Kowinski one of your witnesses, or Councilman Kowinski, do you just wish to speak? I just wish to speak. Okay, okay, gotcha. If there's any witnesses that need to ask questions, the city will have the opportunity to cross-examine those witnesses. I just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Yes, we
Okay.
are. Thank you.
See, so I would say go ahead, sir, and go ahead and present your case.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
We are not just a conventional gas station, and I believe the ordinance is a very universal ordinance that covers many issues and predominantly covers the issue of safety for the citizens and the properties of Hammond. We happen to be a 12-acre truck stop. We're between two expressway exits off I-90. We're easily accessible by both exits. At any given time, the facility houses between 100 and 150 full 18-wheel trucks 24/7 because this is their facility. We're predominantly a truck stop and far less of a gas station. At the facility, you have a mechanic shop for trucks. You have a truck wash facility, which is a very special use purpose for 18-wheel vehicles. And the economic sustainability of the facility is predicated on its ability to be open 24/7. The transportation, trucking industry is a 24/7 business. They need to be able to function on 24/7 basis, and whether it be fueling, but even more than fueling, if you're a truck driver, and in this day and age when the transportation industry is facing its greatest economic challenges, this is your bedroom, this is your home for 24/7. You need to be able to have access to the convenience store that may provide you the psychological relief, and the food-related and drink-related items that are available to you on a 24/7. It is very difficult to imagine a truck stop between two expressways that is not open 24/7, let alone a gas station where a traveler exits from exit to find fuel or whatever else they might need to find, and now they have to travel further or inwards into the city to find something else, which is not going to be open anyways. The facility is extremely well lit. We have made substantial capital expenditure improvements in the facility for the past 18 years that we have owned it. We have never had any incident whatsoever over the past 18 years. We'd be more than happy to allow the police department to place cameras for surveillance if they wish to do so. And overall, the ordinance applied to this location will be a significant harmful application to its economic survival. I couldn't quantify the effect of that because you don't know, you can't quantify the amount of business you're going to lose because all these truck businesses that are there on a daily basis, we don't know how many will leave. And the greater number that leaves, the greater the economic impact it has in the facility. And it's a major, major capital investment to maintain their facility to specs where these people feel safe, where these people feel comfortable, and where they feel that it's convenient for them to allocate their business and get back on and off the road. Closing between midnight and 5, I believe, enhances the risk of safety concerns because there's no one there to monitor it, versus when you're open 24/7 and you have hundreds of individuals and vehicles running and moving back and forth, it is not a desirable location for problems and issues. If you shut it down, the drivers themselves won't feel as safe sleeping in their vehicles, if you know what I mean. The rest area, they won't feel as safe if they don't see as many lights. The moment you turn off the lights, you invite darkness. That's not a good sign for a facility of this nature.
Does the city have anything they'd like to ask?
I do have a couple questions.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. I got George's name. but-
Nick Tanglis, Tanglis.
Mr. Tanglis, have you been involved with the ownership of the facility for the past 18 years?
Yes.
Okay. So, quick question then. You mentioned that there is a mechanics area.
Yes.
Is that also part of, I'm trying to understand how the ownership of all this stuff goes. Is the mechanic that works there a tenant of yours, or is it part of I just want to make sure I get the company name, Gas Depot Oil Company?
Yes. Let me give you perhaps a description.
Yep.
The site has two physical buildings. The square footage of the site is approximately 11 and a half acres. There are two physical buildings. One building happens to be the convenience store with the gas station pumps, and adjacent to it is a much larger building. I want to say approximately 12,500 square feet, I could be off on the square footage, that houses multiple businesses. Two of those businesses happen to be truck-related. One is a truck mechanic shop, and the other one is a truck wash facility.
So my question to you is, let's just take it in that order. The truck mechanic shop, does Gas Depot Oil Company own and operate that portion of the business, or is there a tenant?
There is a tenant, third-party
And
tenant.
what is that person's name? If you know. If you don't, we'll just acknowledge that it's a tenant.
There are two mechanic facilities. I know one of them, True Auto Specialist is one of them. The other one escapes my name.
So you have two tenants there
We have multiple tenants, more than two tenants, in the large structure building.
that are operating their own business.
Correct. They're all third-party independent businesses there.
And the
yes.
truck wash, is that part of Gas Depot Oil Company, or is that part of, is it also a tenant?
It is a tenant also.
You know the name of that?
It was PWS for 20-some years. A new tenant is there, which I don't exactly have their name.
That's fine.
from.
And then finally, the gas station convenience part, that I assume is the Gas Depot Oil Company
Yes, sir.
portion, and there's no tenant there, correct?
No, yeah, we're the operators of that.
Are you aware as to whether or not each of these entities, from Gas Depot Oil Company through the third-party tenants in the mechanics area, through the truck wash tenant, are you aware whether or not those entities have valid and current City of Hammond business licenses?
I'm not aware of that.
All right. Next question I have for you is, are you aware of any violations by the property as it relates to zoning or signage?
I'm not aware of that.
All right. And finally, sir, are you aware of any violent crime occurring, any incidents of violent crime occurring at the property between 2019 and today between the hours of midnight and 5?
No, I'm not.
Do you know whether or not the cameras that are currently at the gas station are operational?
Yes.
Do they cover all 12 acres?
I do not believe so, but I don't know the answer to that question.
Do you know the type of cameras they are and whether and how old they are?
I don't, but I may be able to ask for some assistance from some
Sure.
of our colleagues
Yeah.
that know more about the facility than I
If you
do.
could just state his name and
Yes.
if you could swear him in.
Yes.
Asad Nawar,
Sir, before you spell your last name.
Munawar, Munawar.
Okay, could you do me a favor and raise your right hand, please? Do you swear that the testimony you will give to this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead, please.
We have a GeoVision camera over there, the IP cameras.
What is it again?
GeoVision,
GeoVision? Okay,
How old are they, sir?
maybe 3 years old.
3?
Yes.
And how long do they record at one time before you write over them?
14 days.
And do they have, or I'm sorry, how many cameras do you have on the facility?
16 cameras.
And do they cover both the gas station inside and, I'm sorry, outside of the gas station and inside of the convenience store?
Yes.
How about the truck wash or the mechanics area?
Not a truck wash or the mechanic area, no.
Okay, and are those cameras that can be, accessed remotely?
Yes.
Do you know if it's part of the city's FUSIS system?
No,
It isn't, or you don't know?
it is not.
It is not. Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have for this
okay,
gentleman.
we have one. So you said that there's several trucks there always overnight. They're occupied? There's truckers sleeping in those trucks, I assume?
It's their choice if they choose to, or they can just park them and leave.
Is that area covered under camera, where the truck drivers are?
Part of it, yes.
Part of it?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have anything else. You have anything? Anybody?
No.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I don't have any other questions for Mr. Pangos.
Is there any board, do you have any questions? Any questions? No. Okay. Should we go to Councilman Kalwinski, or should we go to,
I think we'd rather have, like, anybody that's here to remonstrate or speak in favor go at the end,
okay.
unless Councilman has to go somewhere. Okay, sounds like he's good.
Okay, anybody else from the gas station? We've already established, I think there is nobody else, but we're good there? Okay, if you have no further evidence, I will now let the city present their case regarding the exemption. Mr. Smith, do you have any evidence or testimony you would like to present?
We do. First, I'd like to present, and I'm marked this as Exhibit 1 for the board, and of course, I'll give Mr. Tanglis a copy. This is the printout of incidents in which the police department was called. If I could approach.
Yes.
a copy for each of you. I request this be made part of the record. This is the list of incidents that have occurred from 2019 through today between midnight and 5. They vary from 9/11 hang-up, agency assist, alarm, criminal mischief, disturbance, kidnapping, which I don't know the facts of, repossession, resisting, suspicious person theft, and unknown problem. So that's that is that. And of course, the reason I present that is that under subparagraph F of the ordinance, one of the factors is the incidence of criminal acts and police calls over the last 5 years with emphasis on the last 24 months. So I'd present that for the board's review. The next factor is whether the fueling station is part of the FUSIS program allowing cameras to be monitored by the Hammond Police Department. We know the answer to that is no. The next factor is whether or not there is adequate security presence overnight at the fueling station. I believe the testimony of Mr. Munawar, sorry if I messed that up, has let us know what the presence of the cameras are and the extent of them. The next matter is whether or not the fueling station is in a residential area versus a commercial or industrial area. I've checked with Mr. Novak, who's present here today, and he's indicated that this is not in a residential area and is in an industrial area. Next factor is whether or not the fueling station would be considered to be easily accessible by interstate travelers. I think Mr. Tanglis indicated that this fueling station, I believe we're aware of it. The Gasaroo is right off of the Klein Avenue interchange from I-90, and it is directly, I believe, pretty much right across the street, so it's very accessible to interstate travelers. Next factor, of course, is whether or not the fueling station has had other city ordinance violations and whether or not it is currently in violation of any city ordinance, placing emphasis on those that could impact safety. I'd like to present to the board, and I've marked it as Exhibit 3, so I apologize it's not in order, and I'll give a copy to Mr. Tanglis, of course, and the board members. This is a review, and I appreciate Mr. Novak from the zoning department for his thoroughness in this. Let me give you a copy.
Thank you.
And Mr. Novak's here to answer any questions, but just in summary, I'm sorry, here's kind of the official. Just in summary, Mr. Novak has, and there are photos, by the way, to go along with it. As you can see, the signage are in many convenience store windows, cover more than 25% of the windows, up to 100% on some, and that, of course, is always a concern of the police department, because if they can't see, if there's a robbery going on or something going on inside and they're approaching and they can't see in, that's a significant safety problem for the police. And we are always very careful to make sure that gas stations especially, or other areas, other stores or retail establishments, especially if they're open overnight, that is corrected. So that would be something that for sure, if the board feels that they're going to grant an exception, that we would want compliance with. Second thing is that there is a feather sign next to the car wash that's real ratty, and it's a very minor violation, but we would like that removed. There is a picture of that, I believe, in the packet. It's right by the truck wash. There's a potential ADA parking violation because there's no van spots, so we would want that to be addressed. There are several vehicles parked that appear to have been parked there for some time, including a red Chevy sedan with no plates. There are photos of some of these within the packet. It appears that there is a U-Haul facility maybe being operated out of here. If there is, we need more information on that, and that isn't licensed that we know of. And finally, there's not a fenced-in dumpster. Some of these are minor, but, you know, we always want to make a thorough review of this. Mr. Novak, do you have anything else you want to add? Is Tom here? Oh. Okay.
Some of the vehicles stacked in front of the truck washing facility.
Come up.
Yeah.
Hello. So, you know, some of the vehicles stacked in front of the truck washing building are 3 deep, and usually we ask that all vehicles are accessible and movable without having to move other vehicles. In case there's a fire, you want to be able to access that building without cars in the way, or if one of the cars are on fire, you want to be able to access it more easily. But I think he did a pretty good job of, you know, giving an overview of everything.
Thanks, Tom.
You'll get
So
a chance
that,
on it.
I'm sorry?
No, he wanted to speak. I said he'll get a chance on it
Yeah.
once again.
So that takes care of kind of that factor, which of course is number 6. I believe Officer Godey is here to speak about his understanding of security and also about lighting. So I would ask Chris Godey to come up, and if you want to swear him in, please.
I will. Could you give us your name first?
Chris Godey.
And please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you will give to this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay.
Could you please state your name for the board?
Chris Godey.
And Mr. Godey, what is your position within the city?
I'm a sergeant with the police department.
All right, so Sergeant Godey, as part of your duties in the police department, do you participate in a lot of the technology as it relates to both solving crimes and inspecting properties for the department?
Yes.
All right, and have you had an opportunity to review the situation at 3350 Calumet Avenue?
Yes.
All right, could you please explain to the board the camera situation, whether they are part of fuses, and your recommendation if they were given this exception?
Sure. They are not a part of Fusus. We would obviously recommend that they do become a part of it. GeoVision is a compatible brand. They would just have to get a core, and I believe their lighting is adequate inside and outside to get good images at night as well.
Is the camera system that they have that was described, do you believe that those cameras produce a good product that the police department would be able to review and see what's going on if there was a problem at that facility?
We have 2 other gas stations with GeoVision. I mean, I don't know what kind it is or how old it is, but if it's a 3-year-old GeoVision, we have others that are similar and they produce good images.
Would you recommend, are you okay with the 14-day rollover, or would you recommend a longer rollover?
14 days should be good. If they, you know, wanted to upgrade, we certainly would welcome it, but 14 days is on par with others.
Okay, and would you want to review where the cameras are pointed to potentially give them recommendations that could help both them and the police department regarding safety?
Yes.
I don't have any further questions for this witness. I don't know if there's any cross-examination by Mr. Tangle.
Sir, do you have anything for him?
Yes, I will, no, not for Sergeant.
Not for him. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Sergeant.
thank you.
Final factor is number 8, whether or not the fueling station is properly licensed with the city and whether or not it has now or in the past had their business license suspended, revoked, or has operated with an expired business license. I'd like to present to the board Exhibits 2 and Exhibit 4. Also give a copy to Mr. Tanglis. This is the history of the business licenses at the property. I guess the way I would characterize it, it would be confusing. Let me make sure I give the board their copies. That's Exhibit 3, and this is Exhibit 4.
Gotcha.
I'd like to make Exhibits 1 through 4 part of the record, as I've mentioned before, unless there's an objection from Mr. Tanglis. You don't have any objections to the exhibits I'm giving the board?
Absolutely not.
All right, thank you. So I think the best document to look at is probably Exhibit 3, which is a summary from Mr. Farrell. Exhibit 4 from the Controller's Office also kind of sets forth some information, including the public garage license application from True Specialists Auto Repair. Maybe, I think Mr. Tanglis mentioned that, and Mr. Ernesto Perez on Henry Avenue runs that. I guess of concern is that we could not find any license for the actual station and convenience store. There's also various licenses that come in and out regarding like the truck wash, for example. Mr. Tanglis mentions P&G Truck Wash. There's never been any record of any license for that truck wash. There is a DLZ Industrial LLC had a license at this address in 2015, but that's it. IVS Hydro Inc. had a license in 2016 and 17, and that was it. We believe that there, as I mentioned, the U-Haul dealer is there without a license that we know of. IMK Marina Fuel Stop does not have a business license. So the only current valid business license on the property that I know of, and that upon review by Mr. Farrell, which again I would want to thank for the thorough review of this, is a True Specialist Auto Care. So if the board would grant an exception for this property, we'd like them to meet with the inspections department to make sure that their business licenses are both current and that they pay for any past due amounts that are owed to the city for failure to have a business license. So that concludes my presentation. You know, on this, I would say overall, I believe Mr. Tanglis is correct that for a truck stop like this to operate efficiently, it probably does need to be open 24 hours. It opened our eyes as to the operation there. I had no idea they had 12 acres. I had no idea they had all these tenants operating businesses. And so that I think needs to be corrected. But all in all, I would say given the past history of the crime that has or may, the calls that have been made to there, it has been a pretty low amount, and that's a good thing. They check off a lot of the factors we've talked about being close to the interstate and other things, but of course I leave it to the board to make the recommendation. The only thing the city would request is that there be several conditions placed on this. If the board grants the exception, that is conditioned upon them getting on the FUSIS program, allowing Sergeant Godey to go in and make recommendations regarding their camera system, making sure that the zoning and the business license violations have a plan moving forward before they are allowed to stay open from midnight to 5 if the board feels that way. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Does any of the board members have any questions for the city?
No.
No? Do you have any other evidence? Mr. Smith?
No, sir.
Okay. If the city has no further evidence, the petitioner now has the opportunity to present any testimony or evidence in reply. Do you have anything else you'd like to present?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity to present some additional context within the operation. The facility there was acquired in 2005. In 2005, an investment of approximately $2.1 million was made on the facility, which was dilapidated, a non-branded location because it would not meet the safety and image standards of a national brand. Since the acquisition for the past 18 years, ownership has invested approximately an additional $1.4 million in that location, has brought the Shell brand, which is the #1 nationwide brand in brand value for fueling stations. Shell has the strictest, most onerous conditions for branding any facility with their brand.
Sir, I don't mean to interrupt, but I think what you're saying right now would be better saved for your closing argument. We're looking for evidence right now, if there's any evidence.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just want to keep us on point, that's all.
Yes, yes.
So do you have anything that you'd like to ask of the city right now?
I do not.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, no, you don't have to be sorry at all.
About the fuses. I've been following up for 2 weeks trying to contact them to get them the fuses with the GeoVision, and fuses has not been contacted me. So I need to contact who I can get to.
We'll make sure that happens, sir. You can meet with Sergeant Godey right after the meeting. Yes, sir. We'll take care of that. Okay, if you don't have any further evidence, sir, I'd like to give both parties a chance to make a closing argument to the board as to why the board should or should not grant the exception. I would like to keep this at 5 minutes or less, if that's possible, please. And sir, this is, now, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to keep us on point. So go ahead.
I'm sorry for not being familiar with
That's,
protocol.
this is, I don't do this every day either, so
You know what, Mr. President, I'm thinking maybe if Councilman Kowinski, since he's here, it might.
Now would be the
better
time?
to Speak and then give closing.
okay. Thank you, sir. Councilman? Does he need to be sworn in, or no?
I think you sworn?
I stood, but I don't know if I was.
No, I'm going to
sworn
swear,
in.
just to be safe.
Let's do it.
If you could raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear that the testimony you will give to the board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Go ahead, Councilman.
All right, a few points, some curiosity I have, and I don't know if this can be answered here or not, but the drainage at the buildings that are occupied on that acreage, are they connected to the Hammond water and/or sewers? Does anybody know that?
Anybody? No.
And if they're not on that property, is it required that they tap into our system or not?
We can look into it.
Okay. Another thing that I would say is, well, I have a question again. I know that the Gasaru gas station is part of this complex, and the truck wash building to the south is part of the complex, and west of that is part of the acreage. Do you have property west of the pumps at Gasaru, and do you have property north of the Gasaru station?
So I think it might be best for Councilman Kowinski to kind of give his comments and then he can respond.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
It's not supposed to be a question.
Right.
That's great, okay. Another point that I would request is that as we're trying to improve the Calumet Avenue corridor with water, green space, recreation, et cetera, the frontage, although it would be a request and probably nothing more than that, to make it a little more pleasing as we're trying to do that with all the industrial properties along the Calumet Avenue corridor in that area of the district. So that's just an aside and a request. Another request, and I don't know that we're following this very well along the Calumet Avenue corridor, is that the drainage area along Calumet where water flows, that the owners of the properties that are behind that to maintain cutting those. Sometimes they get 3, 4, 5, 6 feet high. You can't really see what's going on behind there. And again, it's part of my request to cooperate with beautifying and keeping the area more aesthetically pleasing as people drive through. A question I have, again, and this will go to the city, is that regarding all the points made for correction to get the exemption, how many of the points have to be met? Is it 75%? Is it 100% of the points made by the city in order to get the exemption? That's a curiosity. I don't think we've ever really outlined what that looks like. So I'd like to know. I'm sure they would like to know too. And are some of the points made must-dos and others not? Or are they all must-dos? I guess that's another way of asking the question. Going to the licenses part, that the points made about licenses and licenses that don't exist or weren't sought or weren't renewed, the city for a number of years has had problems tracking licenses, and I know that because sometimes I've asked for license information of businesses that have come in under the dark of night to see, and to actually find those, they have to, it's not like a computer-driven system. You have to kind of go through it manually, and it's difficult. And I don't believe in the past we've had a prompting of the businesses to renew when that's supposed to happen. Now we just put in a new computer system in the controller's office and throughout the city hall that hopefully will track things better. But I know that When I've asked for whether a company's had a license or got a license, oftentimes we didn't know the company was there, and there was no license. So we must do better at tracking, and hopefully with the new computer system, that will actually happen. And it probably doesn't hurt to prompt all the businesses in the city annually when their due date for a new license or permit should happen, so that we help that process be more efficient. I don't have issues with them remaining open as long as they meet the criteria set forth by the city and they meet the exemptions. But some of these questions that I've put forward will help me understand what it takes to get the exemption. So we can talk about that at another time. That's really all I have. I'm not for or against that gas station remaining open. I just want to be sure that they meet the city's mandates and that they're cooperative and that they do what they have to in order to stay open. Like it was said earlier, it's an industrial area. Not much is open in that neck of the woods on Calumet Avenue except the Gentlemen's Club a couple buildings away. Everything else is pretty much closed at night over there, and they are very close to the Klein Avenue ramp as well as the toll road.
Right.
So it makes sense that they would want to stay open, and I think that for truckers' purposes, it makes sense too, as long as everything that they do qualifies them for the exemptions.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman.
Any questions?
No.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Sir? I would give you a minute or two to respond to anything you heard from Councilman Kalwinski, if you'd like, before go into your closing argument.
I agree with the councilman that we have a responsibility to do the best that we can for the image enhancement and improvement of Calumet Avenue. We take extreme pride in the image reviews that we receive for our facility, because if we don't maintain at least the national Shell brand standards, we will lose the Shell brand value. And that is very expensive, and it's very difficult to obtain. We are committed to provide the best that we can under the circumstances that we function. As far as drainage is concerned, as far as cutting the grass, our grass has never been 3, 4, 5, 6 feet deep. I don't know that, but I know the owner, and the owner would fire me and everyone else working for the company if that were the case. We operate facilities in multiple city and suburban locations, and in every single location, we are the mayor's choice, not the mayor's stepchild. So we can provide evidence to that with written certification from mayors from Stone Park, Elk Grove Village, Franklin Park, Northbrook, et cetera. The list goes on because we own multiple locations throughout the Northwest Indiana and Chicago area. We will adhere, we will meet the standards because it is to our beneficial interest to do so. We have the greatest investment in that location. We stand to gain the most, and more importantly, we stand to lose the most when we let that facility become a problem for the community of Hammond. We can only prosper in a mutual beneficial relationship with a community. We cannot prosper outside of that relationship. If we do not bring value to the community, we deprive ourselves of value for our business. As I said, 18 years ago, $2 million were invested in that facility. In addition, 1.5 million has been invested since then to bring it to the standards that it is today. We are not constrained to make the necessary improvements to meet the safety requirements, the image requirements, the signage requirements, removing signage from the windows to enable the police to have better visibility through. All these recommendations, suggestions, and policy enhancements favor us, the business. They're not a detriment to our business. They're an enhancement to our business. Perhaps we don't know many of them because we definitely do not know everything. And more importantly, you know, I want to stress the site that I'm not aware if it's our responsibility to make sure that all the tenants there have legitimate and current business licenses with the city of Hammond. If this is our responsibility, I'm not aware of it, but if it is, we will have to make sure that we adhere to it and make that also an amendment and addendum to our lease agreements, because we can only enforce what the lease states. We cannot enforce anything beyond the lease. And if we need to make that,
Is that the 5 minutes?
if we need to make that precedent, we will do so. Again, I want to stress that we want to adhere to all these items suggested by the city because they're beneficial to our business. They're not a detriment to our business.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Thank you to the board for, this is obviously this is the first one that we've had for this exception, so I appreciate the board's patience with the city and, of course, with the petitioner. I want to thank the Gas Depot Oil Company team for coming and presenting because it's always good to get introduced to our business owner neighbors. I think that's a benefit regardless of what happens here today. Like Councilman Kowinski, the city doesn't really have an opinion for or against the exception here. I leave that to the board. However, I think that we've gone through each of the factors. I would like to address a couple things. First, this is something that, no matter if you're in Board of Public Works, City of Hammond, Washington, D.C., or whatever, there's no such thing as saying, I'm ignorant of the law. You have to abide by what the law is and what the rules are. So that if there are no business licenses, that's something they have to correct. If they are in violation, that's something that they have to correct. To address Councilman Kowinski's question and comments, I would say a couple things. One, I don't believe all these are must-dos 100% before the exception is granted, although I would like them to be, have a plan to work with Mr. Novak and the zoning department to correct these things. Some are more important than others. I think they can probably pull that ratty feather sign out pretty quick, but there's other things I think they have to work on, and I'm sure Mr. Novak will give them help. I would like to see them signed up for fuses if the board gives them an exception before that they're allowed to stay open midnight to 5. I would request that they meet with Sergeant Godey to go over their camera situation before they're allowed to stay open midnight to 5. So one, they're not all must-dos or not. It's more like let's get a plan together. I think the business licensing has to be resolved. To answer Mr. Tanglis's comment about the tenants, I think that's a great idea to add them into the leases. However, as the board knows, the purpose of getting licensed is it goes through several steps, including are you zoned correctly? Right. The fire department goes through and does an inspection. The police department does a background check. Those are all important things for the city so that it has knowledge of what's going on there. So we can, of course, help them make sure they're licensed properly, especially the gas station, convenience store, and things that, that's their primary revenue source. The tenants, I'm sure we can work on, but I am concerned a little bit about if there's multiple tenants in there, how that's gonna work out, but I'm sure we can cross that bridge. And that shouldn't be a detriment to allowing them an exception. I think it just needs to be worked out. So I would stand on our evidence. We presented exhibits 1 through 4. I've gone through each of the factors. One last thing I did want to mention, that ditch, a lot of times that's the state that actually cuts that because it's US 41, but a lot of the property owners do pitch in and make sure that's clear. So it sounds like Mr. Tanglis is aware of that, and I appreciate that. That's all I have. I leave it to the board's discretion as to whether to grant the exception, and I appreciate the board allowing us to present today. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. I'd like to thank you for your presentations today. The board will now take this matter under advisement. The board will notify the petitioner in writing of its ruling by regular, certified, and electronic mail within 10 days of this hearing. If an exemption is granted, it shall be valid for 1 year from the date of determination and is subject to revocation if any circumstances change. Additionally, you must reapply for the exception annually if it's granted. And I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. Okay, then again, once again, I'd like to thank everybody for being here today. And sir, Mr. Tanglish, you will receive that notification within 10 days. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. You guys have a give a,
You open the public?
yeah,
Resume
Yeah.
regular business.
yeah. The meeting's open to the public. If there's anybody that would like to speak, come on up, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jose Galvan, 1521 Summer Street.
Go ahead, Mr. Galvin.
I was just here to find out if city attorney or code enforcement, here to talk about a house rented and not registered, because I just asked code enforcement downstairs, since 2017. I put it on the sickly fix, came here to the board before.
What's the address?
5944 Birch Avenue. So, this guy, I just want to read this guy is even collecting homestead. Spoke to the county, Miss Leslie. She told me that this is the first one that she sees that someone has figured out a way to cheat. Literally, I mean, we are here on the road, so to cheat the system. That good. He lives next door at 5938 Birch Avenue. He actually transferred that house to his girlfriend or wife, and then he puts 5944 on his name. And then when the county, when she sends him a notice to appear, it shows ID, because that's the only thing that they require. It's on the rules. There is not much rules. He shows up with his ID showing the address. So then she has to use, well, there's nothing else I can do, Mr. Galvin said, well, I'm just trying to tell you, somebody's cheating you. Because at one point, the tenant replied on the sickly fix, I'm the one that lives here. Why are you talking about my house? Well, because it's illegally.
Well, Mr. Galvin, so are you saying that 5944 Birch is being rented?
Right now, he has another tenant. Yes, it is.
Okay, and also has the exemption?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we can check into that. We really don't, I mean.
Yeah, I just want to let you know that it has
Kelly,
been a
can
long
we get
process.
somebody- We'll check into that, sir, for sure.
Okay, well, thank you for your
Yeah,
time.
you're welcome.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
If you guys could get back to the board, please, with that. Kelly. The meeting's open to the public. Would anybody else like to speak? Mr. Novak?
Hi, so I'd like to switch hats here as the president of the Hammond Historical Society, and I'm sorry I didn't get this on the agenda this week, but we will be having our Oak Hill Cemetery Tour, our annual tour, on Sunday, October 1st. And I was aware that last year we had requested this, but we wished to, on the south side of the 200 block of Kenwood Street along the cemetery, to put no parking except for special events, noon to 5 p.m. on Sunday, since there's no actual on-site parking at the cemetery and the entrance is on Kenwood. If I could approach, I could.
Yeah. You guys have done this before, though I'm aware of it, Tom, so, yeah. 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 We're good. They've done it before. Yeah. Yeah.
So we were just requesting if it was okay to put, no parking except for special event, noon to 5 p.m. on Sunday, along that stretch of Kenwood.
Yes.
Yes?
That's been granted before, and I will just make sure we notify the police department so they're aware.
Yeah, just so they know, we're having an event there. Okay. I appreciate you guys, and come on by. It's $5 for adults, free for under 18, 1 to 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Noon to 4 or noon to
Okay,
4?
I make a motion that we approve Mr. Novak's request and forward this to the police department for follow-up.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Novak.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the public like to speak? Chris is gone. Okay, go ahead.
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you, everyone.